Welcome to the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, where it is never too early for fantasy football. My name is Jeff.
And I'm Alex.
As always, thank you for downloading, listening, liking, and commenting on our podcast videos. Please join our community by subscribing to us on the socials. Our handle on all platforms is N2E Fantasy. We are also available on all major podcasting apps by searching N2E Fantasy. Alex, what do we have on today's show?
On today's episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, we are previewing all Week 13 matchups of the 2024 NFL season, Thanksgiving week. So we've got Thursday night matchups, we've got a Friday matchup, we've got weekend matchups, and no buys. So, Jeff, should we begin with the Bears at the Lions? Who are you taking in this matchup? And who are you starting?
So, in this particular matchup, I will be starting DJ Moore and Swift from the Bears. And that's probably about it. In the Lions, as we previously discussed, this is going to be a Montgomery week, so I'm starting him. I'd start him over Gibbs. Gibbs is startable still because he still offers the receiving aspect of everything going on. So you can start St. Brown as long as he plays. He missed practice already this week with a knee injury, so we need to be very cautious about that. Short week. We'll see if he plays. Jameson Williams. I wonder if St. Brown misses this week, that if you could start Goff still, probably would at home. But tougher Bears defensive matchup. I think you'll agree with that as well. And I believe that the Lions will win this game. But this could be a very low scoring game, and it could be a game that's won on the ground with Montgomery. Revenge game.
All right. I agree with that. I'm also going the Lions in this matchup.
All right.
It's not inconceivable the Bears pull off an upset here, but I think that's more likely in Chicago than in Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, they have a shot this week because the short week, the injuries. If it's going to happen any week, it could happen this week. So, all right, we go to the next Thanksgiving Day matchup. So, the afternoon game of the Giants at the Cowboys. Alex, who are you taking in this matchup, and who are you starting?
I'm taking the Cowboys in this matchup. I think both teams are not good, and I think Cowboys have the edge. And I would start. Lamb, maybe Dawdle. Cowboys defense, and it depends on Neighbors' health and the running back health with the Giants. But if Tyrone Tracy is okay, then I'm starting Tyrone Tracy. If he's not, starting Singletary. If Neighbors good to go, I'm starting Neighbors just because of high upside. But it's a really low floor with Tommy DeVito. It seems like the Giants are in full tank mode, whereas the Cowboys are actually trying to win games.
Yeah, it's. I thought they were going to do like a soft tanking job, but it didn't happen. I'm going to go the Cowboys in this matchup. But Alex, would you agree there's probably no reason to start Cooper Rush in this game, even though he's thrown for a high percentage of passes the last few weeks?
They don't have really anything to play for, so I don't understand why they aren't playing Trey Lance and getting him some experience. So some team wants to pay him.
Right. I don't understand that either, but I don't think either of these teams are quote unquote losing on purpose yet. So very interesting happenings.
The Giants aren't playing Drew Lock either, as far as I know. So they're in the same boat there, pretty much.
Yeah. I think this is a case of who's going to be on the roster in 2025, and I think DeVito has a better shot to be on the roster than Locke in 2025.
All right, Jeff. Dolphins at Packers. Who you got?
So I am wavering a bit on this matchup, so I'm going to go over who I'm starting and who I'm playing. So for this matchup, you could start both quarterbacks, Love and Tua. I know Love hasn't been as great as he was to begin the year, but I do expect as he gets further away from the injury that he will continue to progress. This is in Green Bay. It's probably going to be colder right now, which the Dolphins don't travel well to the cold. I'm going to start Josh Jacobs, Devon Achane. I'm going to probably start Mostert as well. You kind of run out of options at running back pretty quickly right now. And I'm going to start Jaden Reed. I probably wouldn't start another pass catcher for the Packers except for Tucker Kraft, tight end. And then for the Dolphins, you could start Jonnu, Tyreek, and Jalen Waddle as well. But in this matchup here, I am going to go the Packers. And this was a last minute change. And I'll tell you the reason here, that the high on Sunday, they're playing Thursday. The high on Thursday is 32 degrees, and it does appear that snow is in the forecast. So,
Well, and it's also a nighttime game too, so it's going to be colder than 32.
Yep. So that's the high of 32, low of 23 that day. So I don't expect the Dolphins to play very well in that particular matchup, which is really sad because they're playing really well.
Yep, this stretch of the year is always the most difficult for them, and it's kind of ironic because they need to win to be able to even make the playoffs. I'm also going the same. I expect it to be cold, and I think that the Dolphins' run is going to come to an end this week, and I expect Josh Jacobs to be a better mover of the football than any of the Dolphins' running backs, despite how fast they may be. They haven't really held up for cold weather either.
All right. So we can move on to the next matchup here. It's our Black Friday matchup on Amazon. I think it's a 3 p.m. start time, and it is the Raiders at the Chiefs. Alex, who you taking in this matchup, and who you starting?
Well, I mean, I'm taking the Chiefs. I feel like that should be almost a given at this point. Gotta keep an eye on whether or not Pacheco is back this week, or if it's another week for Kareem Hunt. But starting whoever the starting running back is between those, probably Hunt again this week. Starting Hopkins, Worthy's flex high upside play, low downside play. You gotta make a decision on Kelsey, whether you're playing Kelsey this week or not. There's a good chance he gets targets. There's another good chance he gets his touchdowns vultured. So take that as it is. I expect Mahomes to have another solid game this week. This is the team that called him Kermit the Frog. So the first time didn't really have that much of a reaction. Maybe he'll finally do something this week. Starting Kansas City's defense and Bowers and Jacoby Myers. I mean, that's pretty much it.
No, I agree, and I'm surprised that you started off picking as many home teams as you have so far.
Told you I'm 8-8.
I know, but I think you picked the first 4 home teams, correct?
Yep, they were the easier decisions.
Yeah, short week.
Seemingly.
I guess it does make the easier decision because it is a short week, but also give me the Chiefs in this matchup, and I agree that Kelsey, his targets will eventually turn into touchdowns, and this could be the week.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the next matchup here, Jeff, and that is the Cardinals at the Vikings. Who do you have in this matchup?
So, in this particular matchup here, the Cardinals are coming off a worse game that against their division rival of the Seahawks. Minnesota coming off of a tough victory against the Bears. So, we'll see if that has any impact on it. But in this matchup, I could see myself starting Kyler Murray, Sam Darnold if I'm desperate, James Conner. Hopefully they can get that run game finally going again. I could see myself starting Aaron Jones 100% in this matchup, Justin Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, all the Suns. And for the Cardinals, I guess you got to still march out there Marvin Harrison because you spent such a high pick on him. And then also, since there's no bye this week, I'd probably bench Michael Wilson. Wouldn't even consider him. And then Trey McBride, of course, is a must start every week. But in this particular matchup here, I am going to go the Vikings here. So they're going to get 10-2. They're going to be one game behind the Lions still.
Yeah, I'm going Vikings as well, and it's because they're the number one team right now against the run. They're a really good blitzing team, and I think it's going to, again, when the Cardinals' run game gets stopped, they seem to struggle the rest of the game, and I think the blitzes may get to Kyler a little bit as well. So I'm also going Minnesota here. And as far as Marvin Harrison Jr. goes, I mean, both of us were saying in the offseason that he's going way too high in redraft leagues. It made no sense. It makes sense to take him high in a dynasty, but in a redraft league, there's no reason why he should be a first or high second round pick. And so far, that's been pretty accurate.
I completely agree, but we can move on to the next matchup, and it's your Texans at the Jaguars. Who are you starting? Who are you sitting? And who you got in this game?
Did you turn into an owl or something over there? A lot of who's over there. I'm taking the Texans. I think this is a bounce back week for them, and Jaguars are just they're a miserable team. They might be the worst team at the end of the year, the way things are going. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is even back yet with that AC joint. So that's a big factor in them being able to compete with the Texans. The Texans should be able to, like Joe Mixon should be one of the starts of the week for people because he should just run over Jacksonville's defense. Nico Collins, Tank Dell, starting them. I'm starting Stroud for a bounce back week as well. Texans defense. The Jaguars, I think at this point, ETN and Bigsby should be healthy. Maybe Bigsby with his ankle still held out one more week, but ETN is probably one of the few options you'd even start at this point. Maybe Ingram if you have to. Brian Thomas Jr., big play threat, worth a flyer this week as a wide receiver 3 or flex.
All right, I'm surprised you're not picking the Jags in an upset here, but give me your Houston Texans. I don't know if this is going to be a great game though, because the Texans really haven't shown a ton lately. So, but give me the Texans in this matchup. And Alex, you mentioned all those who's earlier. I do have a question about a previous game because there is new information out that Tommy DeVito is not 100% to start on Thursday. Does that change your pick if Drew Lock plays for the Giants?
Not right now. I need to see what Drew Lock has for me to change my pick.
All right, so it's not going to change it until they actually play.
Yep. I need to see what I still think the Cowboys are marginally better than the Giants anyway, as it stands.
That doesn't say much, but okay. All right. So the next matchup, and I'll take it, is the Colts at the Patriots. And in this particular matchup, we got Anthony Richardson that can start because he's got the rushing ability. Drake May probably could ride the bench. This week, the Colts defense has actually been better than advertised this year. He's a rookie quarterback, doesn't have a ton of help. The running back, we need to get more carries for Jonathan Taylor. If we don't get those, I mean, that's a shame, and that's not a way to win games for the Colts. But Jonathan Taylor can start in this matchup. Ramondre Stevenson can start. I would probably bench every single pass catcher for the Patriots. I don't even trust Hunter Henry at this point because no one is consistent or predictable at this exact moment. And for the Colts, you could start Pittman or Downs depending on how risky you want to be. And in this particular matchup, I am going to go the Colts.
I'm also going the Colts. I do think Drake May is a good start for 2 quarterback leagues. Maybe desperation play for single quarterback leagues.
I'm just looking at my pick. Actually, I need to change this one, Alex. We're gonna go the Patriots. That's what I had picked when I submitted them earlier today. So I'm gonna stick with my original gut here.
You're going Patriots for this one?
Yeah.
Wow. First difference so far.
Interesting. Yeah, I gotta go with my gut here on this one.
You just hate Anthony Richardson that much, don't you?
No, I think in the cold, I think it's going to be way harder for Anthony Richardson to be accurate.
He doesn't rely on his accuracy. He relies on his athleticism.
He doesn't rely on he's a quarterback in the NFL.
He is a running mobile quarterback in the NFL.
I know, but even the mobile quarterbacks need to be able to complete a pass.
He did 75% the week before. He's fine. You know how many of those passes were? There was like 7 drops, which would dramatically change his passing percentage.
So from 39 to 43.
He only threw 28 passes. If you got 7 more completions, it's what, 60 something percent?
Why is he getting 7 more completions?
I've said there's at least 7 drops.
There is not. You overestimate drops left and right.
I think they're underestimated, and it drives me crazy. But there was one egregious one that Downs did because Downs thought that there was a defender right on him, so he just kind of like batted it instead of caught it. If he caught it, he would have been able to have a nice little run and get a big gain, but he didn't do that, and that really annoyed me.
Yeah, that happens when you're starting to peek down the field a little bit. But yeah, anything else to add to this matchup here?
No, I think that's it.
So we have a lot of cold weather games this week, I'm noticing. But this next one's going to take place in a dome. It's going to be the Chargers at the Falcons. Alex, who are you starting? Who are you sitting? And why are you hating on the Chargers again this week?
I'm not hating on the Chargers. I'm actually picking the Chargers to win this game. I know. Starting Herbert, starting Bijan, London, Mooney, starting McConkey. It's hard for me to pick out anybody else in this game. I don't know where we're at with Dobbins. I don't know if he's going to be able to play this week. I don't know if I trust Edwards. And, Palmer and Quentin Johnston, you're either going to get drops or you're going to get a wide open touchdown. And you don't know when it's coming. But as far as picking the Chargers, I think that the Falcons have proved to be a little soft, and that offensive line crumbles under a good pass rush, which I think the Chargers have a good rush. I think the Chargers are a more physical team, so I'm taking the Chargers to win this one.
Wow. I am also taking the Chargers for the exact reasons you said. I think they played a great Baltimore Ravens team. They lost by 7, so they're playing not as good of a Falcons team, and they should be able to win this matchup. I think they play better on the road as well. I think their home field advantage really isn't much of a home field advantage.
Yeah. I mean, Cousins plays better inside of a dome, which is one thing, but if the offensive line becomes like Swiss cheese to Khalil Mack and these other pass rushers, then it kind of negates the benefit.
No, well, I agree with that for sure.
All right, let's move on to the tough one that you have to answer first. Let's move on to the Steelers at the Bengals. So on one hand, we have a team that just lost a tough short week, but have a 10-day rest period in the Steelers. And on the other hand, we have a Bengals team who I want to say they're coming off of a bye week.
They are.
Yeah, they're coming off of a bye week, so they also get a lot of time. And they desperately need a win. Jeff, who are you picking in this matchup? I know you had that Tomlin theory in the last episode, but is that going to hold true this week?
So I've already submitted my picks, and I'm going to go the Steelers in this matchup for the reason why you said. I got to take the information that's presented and actually apply it, even though I would love to see the Bengals win this matchup because I do think that they should be in the playoffs. But in this matchup here, you could start Burrow, Chase, Jefferson. See, you already put Jefferson on this team, and I messed up. You could start Higgins and Gesicki if you're desperate at the tight end position. And then obviously Chase Brown as well. And then you could start, I believe you could still start Wilson because I don't believe in the Bengals defense. I think he'll actually get in the end zone a few times, so that'll make George Pickens much more valuable in this matchup. Najee, this should be a Najee game because last game really wasn't, and he'll have extra rest to be able to take that the workload. And I think that's about it. I mean, if you're desperate, Calvin Austin, Mike Williams, of course, and then Freiermuth is probably in the Gesicki range for tight end as well. Alex, the spotlight is on you now.
Yeah, I'm going Pittsburgh as well because if you look at the side by sides, The offense of the Bengals is roughly the 9th offense this year, and the defense of the Steelers is roughly the 9th defense. Bengals defense is 23rd. Steelers offense is 18th. And Steelers, I think, have the edge in this one. Obviously the Bengals are a couple big plays away from stealing this win, but with how well Joe Burrow has played this entire season, minus a couple games at the beginning of the year, they've still lost. And I have a hard time seeing them actually pull a victory off in this situation. So I'm going Steelers.
All right. That's a little bit surprising considering the love and admiration that you have for the Bengals, but all the right reasons. And this just shows we're not too emotional when it comes to our picks. We are very reason oriented. We would love to see the Bengals pull this upset, but we'll see. All right. This next matchup is yours to start breaking down first. And that's the Seahawks at the Jets.
All right. So the Jets are desperately trying to hang on to something this year, even though I feel like their season should be over. And the Seahawks are coming off of a very close win and going all the way across the country to play at the Jets Stadium. Neither one of these teams is very great. To me, they're both middle of the pack. I think the Jets have the opportunity to pull off an upset and win this one. So I'm going Jets. Not really a fan of starting either quarterback in this one, so I'd prefer not to start Aaron Rodgers or Geno Smith. I would start the running backs Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker. Start Jackson Smith and Jigba. And I'd start Garrett Wilson. I think also wide receiver 3 or flex play. Devonta Adams would be a decent one. And then you're looking for the Seahawks between Lockett and Metcalf. I don't know if Metcalf is back or not. If he is, I would go his direction. If not, I think Lockett would be a good streaming option this week as well. But yeah, I'm going the Jets in this one.
Oh boy, I didn't see that coming. It's a 10 o'clock body time for the Seahawks because they're coming from the West Coast to the East Coast at 1 o'clock. It's going to be colder. I am also going the Jets. I picked the Jets earlier in this matchup. I am not inclined to change it right now either. Interesting. I didn't see that coming from you.
So when you made your guesses of what you thought I was gonna make, did you just go like the opposite of yourself? Is that just
I
how you
went
do
with
it?
teams that you generally lean towards, and you generally lean towards the Seahawks.
I don't generally lean towards the Cardinals, and you thought I was gonna go that direction.
Who are the Cardinals playing the Vikings? You don't like the Vikings.
Well, I don't think the Vikings are gonna win once they hit the playoffs, but I don't think that the Cardinals are realistic to that. I mean, they have a chance, but I don't think the Cardinals are good enough to make it either. So the Vikings are almost good enough to do something in the playoffs. They're very close, but not quite there.
Yeah, I think they have enough firepower, though, to get it done. But we'll see.
All right, the next matchup we have the Titans at the Commanders. Jeff, do the Commanders get their bounce back, or are the Titans about to go on a little bit of a streak?
So, Will Levis is playing better. Still can't start him, but you can start Pollard. You can start Ridley. Westbrook-Ikine is a dart throw, so I wouldn't recommend starting him, but obviously some people are going to be down in their projections and they're going to need a good option to be able to score a lot of points, and Westbrook-Ikine is that. Start Jaden Daniels. We need to know on the running back situation, but you could start the starting running back for the Commanders, whomever that is at this point. I guess there's a lot of question marks in that area. We should mention, though, that with Thursday and Friday games, like, people may not be able to wait for Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler or McNichols or Chris Rodriguez, whomever is starting for the Commanders. So they may have to make a decision on Thursday or Friday, and we completely understand that. And there's nothing wrong with making the early decision on that if you think it's going to be the best decision for your team. McLaurin's obviously startable right now, and Ertz is a dart throw at tight end. But In this matchup, I expect the Commanders to finally end their skid and get the victory.
Oh boy, that would be the smarter choice, Jeff, but I'm going to go the opposite. I think the Titans defense has been playing out of their minds. I know sometimes the scoreboard doesn't exactly reflect that, but I think that the Commanders have hit a wall. I think that their offensive coordinator does this every single year he's ever been in the NFL coaching. And I think that the Titans are getting slowly better and more cohesive as a team. So give me the Tennessee Titans to pull off another upset.
Yeah, and I know that's your hope too, especially after they upset the Texans last week.
I think that they have a chance to go on a roll because they also will play the Jaguars pretty soon as well. So Titans have a good chance to actually get closer to the middle of the pack.
Well, it doesn't sound like they're going to go quarterback next year, so that may be an okay thing. And if they do, sometimes the later quarterback is the better quarterback. All right. What do we got on deck right now?
Rams at Saints.
All right, I'm going to let you go ahead and start with this one here, Alex.
I think that this will be a decent matchup, but I'm going the Rams. The Rams seem like they're playing with their tails on fire, trying to be able to claw their way to playoffs. So Saints defense has still not been good. The offense is hit or miss, I feel like. I think the Rams defense is better than what the stat line shows for them as well. I think these Florida State rookie defensive players for the Rams are starting to really get it going. So give me the Rams. I think they're better off win the ground game with Kyren Williams and getting the ball more to Cooper Kupp because it seems to be more successful with Cooper Kupp. But Puka gets the deeper balls, I guess. But starting Stafford, starting Kupp, Puka, Kyren Williams, starting Kamara every week that he's healthy. Taysom Hill, I guess at this point you got to start him at tight end if you have him, or there's a way you can plug him in at flex in some leagues if you need that. I don't know how I feel about starting him at the quarterback position, but if it's two quarterback league, why not? MVS is a desperation play if you need one.
Yeah, I would agree with the MVS piece of it. It's along the same lines of that Westbrook Akina. I'm going to go the Rams in this matchup as well. I just think they have the more firepower and they play better on the road too. I think there's something about that LA stadium that doesn't feel like quite at home for the Chargers or the Rams.
Okay, we have 4 more matchups left. So we have the Buccaneers at Panthers. Jeff, wow, I like how that lined up. I got to do the Texans, then you got to do your Panthers, I think. So is this going to be an upset week for the Panthers, or will Tampa take this one?
So Tampa will take this one, first of all. I just think that with Mike Evans and the 3 running backs that we had mentioned previously, I think Tampa is going to go on a little bit of a run here. So you could start Mayfield for that reason. You could start Irving and White. I would be okay with both of them. I probably would start Irving over White at this point because he's proven to be a little bit more productive, but I expect them to split carries. You can go ahead and start the Mike Evans, of course, and K. Dotton. I think those are the top 2 receiving options. I think McMillan and Palmer, one of those have to break out at some point in order for them to even sniff or try to be successful in the playoffs. But with the Panthers, you could start Hubbard. I'm still not starting Bryce Young. I think there's better options at quarterback. I think Adam Thielen's an interesting option. Jatavian Sanders, if he does play, but he probably will miss a week or 2. And I think that is about it. I'm not starting David Moore. I'm not starting Coker if he's active this week. So I'm not starting Xavier Leggett right now, but give me the Buccaneers in this matchup.
So you're not going with the Panthers' number 1 wide receiver, David Moore. Interesting.
Nope.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to pick anybody out in that Panthers wide receiver group until that stabilizes. But Bryce Young might be good enough to put in 2 quarterback lineups. I think there's a chance the Panthers could upset Tampa Bay, but I still don't feel comfortable picking them yet. So I'm also going Tampa Bay, and I agree with your starts and sits. We got a tough one coming up here with the Eagles at the Baltimore Ravens. I know I've gone back and forth with this one, but ultimately I think the Eagles are the more well-rounded team. So I'm going to go with the Eagles, and you're basically starting everyone in this matchup. So you're starting both quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson. You're starting both running backs, so you're starting Saquon and Henry as well. You're starting AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. You're starting Goddard if he's available, and you're starting Flowers and Mark Andrews, and maybe even Bateman as a wide receiver 3 or flex. Am I missing anyone, Jeff? I guess you could start Justice Hill as well as a flex play if you need to.
Where is
But
Keaton Mitchell these days? Haven't seen much from him since he's been activated.
I think he's been doing returns, if I'm not mistaken.
Gotcha. I am leaning towards not starting Goddard. He's been quite disappointing with AJ Brown in the lineup, but I can understand you not having a better tight end option there. Alex, who did you take in this matchup?
I took Philly.
Dang, on the road. On the
Yep.
road. I'm going to go the Ravens. I think the Ravens play better at home, and they're going to be entering a bye week, so they're not going to have anything else on their mind, or they're not going to be looking forward. They're going to only be able to concentrate on this matchup, which will be an advantage. And I think there's a big advantage for the Bills, which is the next team that we're going to be discussing, and the Ravens to have such late bye weeks, especially at the records that they have. So I expect the Ravens to be able to rip off a whole bunch of wins to end the season and probably win their division for that reason. So I don't know. These teams are very, very similarly built. Just the Ravens don't have the A.J. Brown.
Well, and the Ravens defense is struggling too.
Yeah, they get the stops when they need to, though. They're bend but don't break type defense.
So you're going Ravens in this one?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we are at 1, 2, 3 differences.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Jeff, why don't you take the Bills next?
Yeah, so the 49ers at the Bills here. So this is going to be a cold weather game. There could potentially be a lot of snow in this matchup. There's lake effect possibilities. So I don't think that helps the 49ers. I'm not sure if Brock Purdy plays. I'm not sure if the weather has an impact on Brock Purdy playing or not, because obviously colder weather, the more an injury might actually hurt. So we'll see if Purdy actually plays. But these were two pivotal matchups for the 49ers. If Purdy doesn't play this week, their season for me is effectively over because he sat out the Packers and the Bills game in that scenario. And those are two pivotal must-win games for the 49ers. But give me Buffalo in this matchup. I just think coming out of the bye that the 49ers are in like a no-win situation here. I think Josh wins the battle of the Allens. So you could start Josh Allen, start James Cook, which I do expect the Bills to start leaning on him a little bit more down the stretch here. I expect the Bills to have implemented a couple of new wrinkles during this bye week. I think you could start Amari Cooper. I think you could start Keon Coleman if he plays. I think you could start Khalil Shakir. The Bills' weapons are quietly getting better and better and better and better every week. And then the 49ers, I think I'm just starting George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. I think Juwan Jennings is interesting, but if Brandon Allen plays, not interesting enough for me to play him. And then Ricky Pearsall is kind of fallen off after his one touchdown that he had a couple weeks ago. So, Alex, what do you think here? Do you think Kincaid plays this week?
I hope so, because I would love to put him out on my lineup, but it's something that we'll have to monitor because I really don't know. He was out the week, so he was out on bye week, right? This last week, and then the week before he was out of the matchup. So it's been a couple weeks. So I would think that he would be back.
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping it wasn't a much more serious injury that we don't know about, but we'll see.
But I'm also going Buffalo. It doesn't make any sense to pick the 49ers at this moment with Brock Purdy potentially being out again and McCaffrey not looking himself.
Is there any 49er that you would start that I was just bashing 2 seconds ago?
I think I would start Kittle probably regardless, start McCaffrey regardless.
And that's about it, which is sad.
Yeah. Jennings only seemed to have a rapport with Purdy, so that's about it, yeah.
All right. So that moves us over to the last matchup, and I'm going to let you go ahead and break it down. It's the Browns versus your adopted team, the Broncos.
Yeah, well, I'm going Denver. So, as much as I kind of like Jameis Winston, it's a very tough matchup to go against Denver's defense in Denver, of all places, as well. I don't know if there's any running back that I would start in this matchup. Anyone that you put in is more of a flex option than an actual starter. Sutton, you have to start him every week. At this point, it's very hard to take Sutton out of your lineup because he's the focal point of that offense for Bo Nix. I'm starting Bo Nix this week. I'm not starting Jameis Winston unless I'm in a 2-quarterback league. I think this would be potentially a trap week for Jerry Jeudy owners. I think it's queued up for a Jerry Jeudy revenge week, but Denver's defense is very tough, so he might not put up. We haven't seen a lot of revenge games actually blow up this year, so I would keep an eye on Tillman, maybe, see if he's good to go. I don't know, man. This is a tough one offensively, but I'm taking the Broncos.
Ooh, I didn't see that coming. That's actually a lie. I did see that coming. They're your adopted team. I didn't see you saying start Bo Nix, though, because I think the Browns defense is quite...
I said start Bo Nix, and I said I would only start Winston in 2-quarterback leagues.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming, I should say. The fact that the Browns are a little bit better of a defense than we think they are, and Myles Garrett will be in his face all day. We know how he disrupted Russ. So I think that'll be interesting to see if that pans out for you. But give me the Broncos in this matchup as well. I think this game could be closer than we think, though.
Was there anyone on Cleveland that you'd be starting? Because I was kind of hesitant to say anybody.
I mean, there might be some people that have no choice but to start Nick Chubb, but other than that, I probably wouldn't touch anybody. I wouldn't touch any single one of the Denver Broncos running backs either.
Would you start Jerry Jeudy this week? You just touted him in the last episode.
Probably, but I wouldn't feel great about it because I'm not a big Jerry Jeudy fan. And I know you're not either, but he's producing. So we have to call a fact here. And the fact is that he's producing.
He seems like he's their big play wide receiver, if not the most heavily targeted.
He's their Charles Tillman. Wait, what?
Anyway, all right. So we only have the 3 differences in this whole thing.
Wow. 16 game slate too, but spread out over 4 days. A lot of football.
How many in-laws are going to get mad at us for watching so much football? We'll see.
Well, I plan on not driving so I can watch football on the way to dinner and the way home from dinner on Thanksgiving. So
nice. All right. Well, we look forward to hearing from y'all what your football plans are. But that does it for this episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you all for downloading and listening to this episode. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please leave us a comment and share the show. Every little bit helps.
You can find us on all podcasting apps by searching N2E Fantasy and with our handle N2E Fantasy on all social media platforms. And now we are on Blue Sky as well. So we are joining the new trend. So please join our community and give us a follow there and everywhere else. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and remember, it's truly never too early for fantasy football. Thank you again.
Hi, everybody.